hi and welcome to this special Business Mastery Day, Elite Strategies and Action Plans organized by IAPC&M. I'm Catalina Flore, your host for this masterclass based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I'm a fellow executive coach, leadership development trainer, and integrative health coach. We have a special day today, and we already had great insights from the first two sessions with Dr. Barbara Mutezi on pricing and packaging your coaching products and services, and with Donna Garrity, strategy planning for coaches. And this masterclass is recordings, and recordings are available for lifelong membership of accredited members. So thank you for those of you joining us live, and to all individuals that will watch the recordings as well. So for now, I invite you to grab a pen and a paper, sit back and take lots of notes because you are in for a treat. And there is a link to your complimentary CPD log. So remember, we learned, so let's capture the learning and move on for your personal and professional development. Now, speaking today with us is the incredible Beckie Sanderson. She is brilliant. She's a digital designer, branding and publishing specialist, the creator of the Boost Your Brand with Books program. And Beckie works at the intersection of design, marketing, and publishing to help entrepreneurs turn their content into credible, client-attracting assets. And Beckie brings a wealth of expertise in how books can grow your visibility, generate leads, and even create passive income. And so today we're exploring really this powerful and often underutilized tool in the personal brand of coaches, of consultants, and creative people, the book. And whether you are writing ebooks, journals, or fully fledged publications, your words can carry authority, build trust, and become part of your business ecosystem. So it's an absolute pleasure to have Beckie with us, and please welcome me in, join me in welcoming her here. Welcome, Beckie. And the floor is yours.
Lovely. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Yeah, absolutely. It's often is an underutilized asset for business owners, which is what I've based my whole program around and a lot of the work that I do. Before I start, I'll pop my link into chat so that anybody throughout the session, if they want to connect with me and download my ebook supporting this session, they can get access to that straight away. There we go. So, but yes, I've got a presentation to share, so I will do that and then we can get straight into it. And if anybody has any questions to ask, please pop them into chat, and then I'll try my best to answer them throughout. If not, I'll cover it at the end. But bear with me while I get my presentation ready to share. Here we go. And then present. Present screen. Present. Oh, it's been a while since I've done this, but I've done it a few times, so I'm sure it'll just be like riding a bike. So, welcome to the Boost Your Brand with Books Masterclass. It should say 10 ways to boost your brand with books masterclass, actually. So today we'll be talking about creating, designing and self-publishing your books, journals, ebooks and planners and all sorts of different things. So please do let us know in the chat about your business, what you do, who you help, and what you want to get out of the masterclass. And let me just, I think I'm actually sharing the wrong presentation. Please,
It's okay.
stop sharing, because I've got 2 copies and I've got the wrong one open. That's why it didn't say 10 ways. I knew something wasn't right. So sorry about that. Let me share that screen again. I've got the right one now. There we go. That's better. Saying the right thing this time, which is good stuff. There we go. Right, we'll try again. 10 ways to boost your brand with books. Here we go. So a little bit about me. So I'm a brand and book designer. I generally work with female business owners, coaches, consultants, and creatives who want to attract their ideal clients and boost their brand to the next level. I design logos and branding, branded books, and online marketing. And I'm a creative professional with over 15 years experience. I stopped counting at 15 years. So yeah, it's a lot longer than that now. But I'm really, really passionate about digital media, branding, design, and publishing. I worked when I initially graduated from university. I worked in the publishing industry, mainly in London, and then moved around and did other things as well. But I graduated with a degree in multimedia publishing and business, and then later gained my Kettle's teaching qualification, and worked as a digital media trainer and lecturer in graphics and media, having worked in further education, adult education, and community learning. Hence the Miss in Miss Digital Media. So my teachers always, my students always used to say Miss, Miss. So it was remembering those days. So in today's session, we'll be looking at how we can, where's it gone? My screen has just disappeared. It went sideways.
Again.
It stopped sharing. Share. That one. Yeah. I think I moved something and it went off to the side. Apologies. So today we'll be covering the opportunities of self-publishing, 10 ways to boost your brand with books. I'll be giving you lots of ideas and inspiration to use how you can design and publish your own books, repurpose your content, and boost your brand visibility. And my favourite bit, create the passive income. So I believe everybody has a book in them. Self-publishing, for me, self-publishing books and ebooks isn't just for authors. There's opportunities for everyone. So whether you're a coach, whatever your niche, mindset, confidence, health, well-being, or a consultant, whether you're in tech, business, sales, health and well-being, or a specialist trainer or advisor. If you're a creative, a media professional like myself, or a creative writer or photographer, illustrator or artist, you can be an author. So I believe if you have a talent, a skill or a story to share, then there really is no better place for it than in a book. So the opportunities of self-publishing. So writing and publishing books and ebooks may not have been something that you would have ordinarily thought about. However, what I want you to think about is the fact that you're already creating so much content as a business owner. You have so many assets in terms of your branding assets, your audience, your communities, and you have so much potential to be repurposing content to reach those audiences in a different platform, and in this case in the platform of a book, which has many other benefits over and above the digital world that we live in today. I think people now really love to have a physical book in their hands, I think it's something that resonates more deeply with some people and has a lasting impact. But also, now that self-publishing is way more accessible than traditional publishing has ever been, it really is opening up those opportunities to a much wider group of people who have the opportunity to self-publish. So when we look at platforms like Amazon Kindle Direct, Ingram Spark, Issue, and all sorts of other self-publishing platforms, it really does give you a sense of what the opportunities are aplenty, and each of these platforms have advantages and disadvantages. So it's trying to navigate those, which in what can seem like a bit of a minefield. So another factor to consider is the fact that the growth in popularity of ebooks and developments in e-reading technology over the last 15 plus years have made ebook sales rocket. So again, there's lots of different opportunities now with self-publishing. So
there is a question. May I ask you, Beckie?
of course.
Because you're talking about this so many possibilities in printing, there is the markets are quite saturated, some people could say. So how can a book serve as a strategic tool in a coach of a consultant's brand positioning, especially in these saturated markets?
Absolutely. It's a very good question and very valid question. And part of what I advise is to be realistic about what kind of income your book could command. So you get out what you put in terms of your marketing efforts. If you invest well in terms of your marketing and promotions and maintain that consistency in visibility of your book, then you're going to maximize those sales. Equally, yes, it is a saturated market, but what your book can do for you is position you as an expert, and how you utilize that is up to you. How you utilize that book to open doors, to build your credibility, to build that authority, how you use the content in the book to drive the traffic to your other platforms, to sell your programs, your courses, your offerings. So it's how you're using it strategically in that way that is what counts. That's what really makes the difference, in my opinion. I have a book myself. I haven't talked about it yet or waved it around. You've got it over my shoulder. That's the first edition behind my shoulder. Here's the second edition in my hand. And I use this book to position me as an expert in publishing, but I use, in the way that it was created, it was used by using contributors to take part. So getting contributors to get involved in producing the book helped to engage me with my ideal clients, essentially. So it's building relationships, it's building an audience for the book when it's published, it's getting people invested in it, it's getting them and leveraging their audience to share their contributions. And so it's all round, it's a win-win for everybody in terms of visibility.
Fantastic.
It hasn't necessarily made me lots of money, but it has positioned me as an expert, and I've got more stories to tell about the book.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
So with KDP and other platforms, you have the opportunity to produce books on a print-on-demand basis. And this is the big thing that makes self-publishing so much more accessible and exciting. Because with print-on-demand, books are printed to order, means there's no stock held, means you don't have to pay for storage, shipping, postage, etc., etc. You don't have to have a big outlay for a big print run, for example. And that lessens the risk for anybody who wants to go into self-publishing. It also means that you can reach a much broader audience on platforms like Amazon globally within 24 to 72 hours. So it's 24 hours for an ebook or 72 hours for a printed book. So you can upload the files and your book can be available for purchase within that time period, which I still find absolutely fascinating. So this presents opportunities for entrepreneurs with reaching much wider audiences than they would otherwise reach, and the opportunity to build a legacy, really. But also, as we've said, about positioning yourself as the expert. But you have the opportunity to publish a variety of book and ebook formats, including low or no content, or even branded books, which can generate an income for your business. It could be workbooks, course books, ebooks, all sorts of different options. And they don't have to be posted on or listed on a platform like Amazon. You can just sell them through your website, for example. Anyway, you can earn passive income from royalties of up to 70% on Amazon, this is, and on ebooks, and up to 60% on paperbacks. So people complain about the level of royalty with Amazon, and it is quite a huge chunk that they take, making your book less profitable for you personally. However, when you look at the service that they're providing, everything that's involved in that, it's a pretty good deal. So it's, there's other ways that you can approach self-publishing in a more savvy way that can be potentially more profitable. But my view is it's the largest marketplace, one of the largest marketplaces in the world. Why would you not want your book to be there? So Amazon and other platforms have a ready-to-buy audience, and that's an important thing because, again, part of what Amazon and the other platforms are doing is they're positioning your book to be seen by the right people. So they're doing some of the work for you. It doesn't always mean that you're going to make loads of money from your books, and depending on how saturated the category or market is that you're in, depends where your book will appear in those listings. So having a super niche in self-publishing is where it's at. So thinking again about the different types of books that are available, if you just look along your own bookshelf, you'll see many different types of books that you are going to be familiar with: paperbacks, hardbacks, Waro bound, saddle stitched, whether it's a reference book, a memoir, a journal or planner. It's done it again. I did a movement and it swept it away again.
It's dancing with us, the technology
It
today.
is.
It's okay.
It's my mouse is mega sensitive. I need to not touch it.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of different books available. Like I've said, low content, different genres to think about. The list is truly endless. So depending on what your niche is or what your passion is, what your expertise is, there's various different book formats that are going to be suitable for you. With ebooks, there's various different types of ebook platforms for publishing ebooks, such as Kindle, Ingram Spark, Drive to Digital, and many, many others. There's too many to list, and again, there's advantages and disadvantages with each. Ebook formats is another aspect to consider, how your audience are going to use and view your content. With ebook formats, you've obviously got the facility to include interactive hyperlinks, so you can direct people to your websites and watch videos and other various forms of content. So you have all sorts of different options with ebooks that you can't really do with paperbacks. So it opens up different opportunities. And with ebooks on Amazon as well, you've got various different formats, options in terms of how you list your book, so that you can sell individual chapters, or you pay per page. You get paid per pages read rather than selling the actual whole book. All sorts of different opportunities. So to give you a quick rundown, and I'm not going to go into too much depth here, but if anybody does have any questions in with regard to any of these aspects, then please do let me know or get in touch after the session and I can provide more insight. But just to give a general overview, these are some of the things that you're going to need to consider when you are thinking about going into self-publishing. ISBN numbers. So ISBN is the number on the back of the book that you see usually next to the barcode. And that's important because that's what makes sure you get paid your royalties. So if you're self-publishing with Amazon, you can use their free, what they call an Amazon ASIN number, which is a free one, but that has advantages and disadvantages in that, yes, it's free, but it does also mean that you can't list that book anywhere else on any of the platforms to sell. If you do want that portability, then it's best to have your own ISBN. Like I say, this is important because it gives the ownership and the copyright and everything you're listing your book under to you. It's registered to you. So it's kind of like protecting your intellectual property, essentially. So it makes sense to invest in that. They're not particularly cheap, but well worth purchasing, say, a block of 10 if you're planning to do more than one book. Otherwise, it's quite expensive just to buy one. Definitely don't underestimate the value of editing and proofreading. So you may need to, depending on the type of book you're creating, whether you need to invest well in that and in finding the right editor for your genre of book or niche of book. Book cover design and page design is the same thing. So this is more my area. I design the interior book layouts and book covers for various different books. And people really do judge a book by its cover. So it is really important not to cut corners on this and just knock something together in Canva thinking that it's going to work, because it's just sparks of not professional. However, that's not to say that you can't use something like Canva to create a professional looking book. It's swings and roundabouts, and it honestly depends on the type of book that you're creating. Illustration, photography, picture licensing, all aspects that you need to consider in terms of copyright. So making sure that you've got permissions to use the imagery that you're using in the book, and or purchasing stock imagery to use and crediting the relevant people. Typesetting and formatting, again, this is kind of my area and is definitely a skilled service. It's a skilled job and is quite technical and needs somebody with a lot of experience and understanding of print production, book production, working with editors, designers, illustrators and authors. So it's really something that you should invest well in and do your research if you're buying that service. Printing, again, with print on demand services, it's kind of out of your hands, but if you're looking to produce your own print run of books, then it's worth doing your research in this area, and don't underestimate the costs of quality book production. And it's going to be different for every single book, as will all the other costs. It's going to be, specific to your book. And then, how long's a piece of string? How much should you invest in marketing and promotion? Well, obviously you can do a lot of free types of marketing, but don't underestimate the power of paid advertising or the investment in working with marketing experts, again, like myself, working on various different assets to do the kind of post-publishing marketing materials and assets and different strategies that you can use to drive that traffic to make those sales. So here's the 10 ways now. If anybody has any questions on all of that.
Yeah, there is a question. May I ask it?
Of course, yeah.
How much time, let's talk money. How much time and budget should a coach realistically set aside for a high quality self-published book or journal? I know that it's quite general, but you have a lot of experience in this area.
Sure. Well, it depends whether you're going to work with a book coach or a ghostwriter, um, or if you're going to write the book yourself, the kind of editors that you're going to need, the level of quality in terms of the design, and the cost can just escalate, as I'm sure you'll appreciate. So I would say anything between 1,500 up to 3,000 to invest in the services. But, and this is a really important point, there's a big difference between what's sometimes called vanity publishing, or hybrid publishing, where they're charging you 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 and higher to publish your book for you. But actually what they're just doing what I do in terms of what I call assisted publishing. So I help people to get their book ready to publish, and then I upload it to platforms like Amazon or send it off to print. And that's assisted publishing, where you are retaining control of the book. Whereas if you're looking at some hybrid publishers, or that's what they like to call it, are actually retaining control of your book. So they're managing the royalties and paying out when it suits them. They are kind of keeping your book hostage. And what I advise is actually no, self-publishing is all about you retaining control, you retaining the power, being able to make decisions. So I would advise against that route. However, it depends what kind of package is being offered. So I would say anything. Yeah.
Anything,
Yeah.
sorry?
I thought you were going to ask a question.
I will wait till you
Okay.
answer.
So I would say that, anywhere between 1,500, depending on the size of the book and, the complexity of the content, up to, 3,000, depending again on how much input you need in terms of the services on screen here. If you're able to do some of the elements yourself, or get a reliable friend to do it at a reduced cost, or there's various different ways you can approach it. With my program, I teach people how to do all of the book production part, and advise them on outsourcing as and where it's needed. So there's different ways that it can be done without having to spend over 1,000 even. You can do it for a small, well under 1,000. You can do it at a very low cost if you're doing all of the parts yourself. So it honestly
Right.
depends on the person's individual skills and the book that they're creating.
And for those choosing to go in the direction of a hybrid, what would be the advantage and what costs might they expect?
Well, the advantages to me aren't what is marketed as advantages to me isn't an advantage. It's actually taking away your control. If you're talking about traditional publishing, like the big names, household names that you know about, Penguin, Hachette, Dorling Kindersley, Pearson. If you're talking about these kind of organisations, it's a different scenario where you would negotiate royalties ahead of the book being published, and you might even get an advance. So it's a different way of working. With the hybrid publishers, they're charging you a lot of money to do the same that you can do with self-publishing.
Okay.
And so I just would advise not to go down that route unless you are really clear on what you are actually getting for your money in terms of their marketing and book production package. So I would be overly cautious to advise anybody to go down that route.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I hope that helps.
Absolutely.
So 10 ways. So there's lots of different ways. You can use books to boost your brand, but the first and obvious one for business owners is about attracting your ideal clients. So branded books help business owners to attract their ideal clients, to build the like, know, trust factor, to position yourself as an expert, and to communicate and demonstrate your skills, expertise, and personal stories. You can really use a book to show that you're the right person to help them with the problem, which is something that we do kind of do with social media, but it's kind of lost in the noise, isn't it? Whereas people really connect with your book. And oh, it's done it again. It's really annoying that that keeps happening. I do apologise. So it's really a special thing that a book can do that other platforms can't. So growing your audience. So it's a great tool to help you grow your audience and build your email list. So particularly with books as lead magnets, as ebook downloads, or even if you're at an event, having your book on the table with your contact information on the back, or you can even use QR codes these days to get that instant connection and draw people into your world, if you like. But you can use an ebook as a lead magnet, like I said, or as a low-cost item. I think that's the thing as well. It's a great marketing tool that actually, if you think about the cost per click on websites and, people investing in SEO and lots of other really technical stuff and advertising that isn't necessarily guaranteed. A book is something that can last much longer and can have a lot more impact for, relatively competitive cost. So something to consider. You can share your books and lead magnets on social media and promote during live talks. That's something that you can't do with a website. You can't wave your website around during a networking session, can you? It's just not going to work, is it? But you can with a book. So direct new leads to sign up for your mailing list and receive their free ebook. As I said, add QR codes to and other information to printed books to direct them to your social media. And this is what any media is really, isn't it? It's about getting your audience from A to B, your customer journey. And books are a really powerful part of your customer journey. So in terms of generating leads and programs for your supports and services. So this is how, the strategy part comes in, and how you're using your book as part of that customer journey, and what steps in that customer journey you're wanting them to take, and positioning it at those bits of marketing at the right place with the right messages. So a book, an ebook can become part of that customer journey or sales funnel. Again, a low-cost option for those who aren't ready to buy yet. So it helps to warm up your customers, and they can make a small investment to get a better understanding if you're the right person that they would then choose to invest in further down the line. But with all books, you can include those calls to action to, book a call, sign up, or enroll. So it's getting that conversion that you want. So boost your brand visibility. So books and ebooks, all different formats, provide a great platform to boost your brand, communicate your brand identity, your brand message, your brand voice, brand story, and brand personality. You can use the same language, tone, brand style, imagery, fonts, and colours, and they're a great conversation point for you with your target audience and ideal clients. Really can open doors for collaborations and for appearing as guest speaker or guest expert at online and offline events. So I said I had a story about my book, didn't I? So I went to a networking event, and a lady came in and she said, "Oh, so what do you do then?" So I dip in my bag, pull my book out, and I said, "Well, I'm an author. I've written and published my book, and now I'm teaching other people how to publish theirs." And she pointed at the book and she said, "Sign me up." Straight away, she wanted to join my course, my program. And so it really does have that power to give that instant credibility, even without her even having opened the book. It did its job. So
wonderful. And by any chance, may I ask you a question?
Yes, of
That
course.
lady was a coach by any chance?
She
Or
was, yeah,
you say,
she
so
was.
do you, I don't know about this, or you have maybe another example of a coach who has successfully used the book to grow their email list or community?
Absolutely. So there's various different clients that I've worked with in all sorts of different niches, not just coaches, um, but a lot of coaches. ADHD, sorry, I can't say it, ADHD coach and
Yeah.
mentor. I work with an AI trainer and expert and career coach. Um, and all sorts of different niches. I do a lot of kind of self-help, kind of memoir type books for coaches or health and well-being or manifestation coaches, all sorts of different niches. And each one you can see that they're having, because they've got their niche within the coaching space, that's the thing that really makes the difference. But it's also about their strategy behind it that makes the difference in terms of how successful it is. But equally, it's a case of how you're measuring that success. So,
Okay.
um, build the like, no trust factor. So, like I said, with the my example there with the book, it really does help to build that like, no trust factor because people can see that you know what you're talking about. They can see that you're constantly showing up, saying the same thing in your book as you're saying in person or in social media or in. So it helps to build that layer of trust. Um, but also, like I said, for experts at events and things, that you're not going to get requested to be a guest speaker at a large event if you're not published. That's one of the kind of prerequisites, really. But also you can use your book to include client test or ebooks to include your client testimonials. But it helps people to decide if they like, know, and trust you, and your readers decide if they want to follow up on your calls to action. So it's a really passive way to do marketing rather than sell, and the hustle. So it's a nice way to attract rather than chase. Um, but yeah, so it's something to think about. Repurpose your content. So I mentioned this at the beginning, and I think this is one of the key things that I think is what stops people from actually writing a book. They think it's going to take them so long to write a book. And yeah, it takes some effort, but as you can see, the picture on the screen there, boost your brand with books. So I wrote and published my first ebook in 16 days because I was asked to speak in an event, and I thought, well, I can't talk about publishing and not have my own book. This is when I first started in this business. And so I very quickly published this book and wrote and published it in 16 days. So it is possible, but it was possible because I repurposed a lot of the content from the presentation that I'd created for this event and for other things that I'd been using in my marketing. So it wasn't written from scratch, but it's now developed from that book and from that presentation. I've now developed a program from it, and I've developed this presentation from it, and I've delivered this presentation in numerous places over the last few years. So it really has created an ongoing legacy, and this is what I'm advising you to do. Repurpose your content, your assets, and use what you already have because you've done a lot of the hard work already. And now it's time for you to use that hard work in a smarter, more effective, powerful way. So consider what content you already have that you can repurpose. If you've already got courses and programs and online marketing, you've got social media, podcasts, blog posts, whatever it is, you've got assets there that you can repurpose. You can transcribe your video and audio content, collate blogs, social media posts, but reuse your graphics and photography, because if you own them, then it's a good asset that you're not having to pay for. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think that's the key message there. So create an ebook as a free lead magnet. So we talked about this a few times already. But yeah, again, repurpose your content. Use assets that you've got in your courses and programs. Create a kind of shortened version of something that's quick, easy to use and accessible. Something that people want to engage with, use or read. Embed your video links, links to website, etc. But brand it. This is the key mistake I see with the lead magnets. They could belong to anybody. So make sure it's heavily branded and get your face in there as much as possible, particularly if you're in the coaching space. So I think that's the thing. Make it yours. Create a low ticket item. Again, we talked about this earlier. Something that can be used as a giveaway, something that's going to help to warm up your audience. And particularly if you've got a community that you've built, then you could make quite a bit of money if you've got a relatively small to kind of medium-sized audience. Anything under 100, you can still make a decent amount of money promoting a book within your community. You've got a ready-to-buy audience there. So it's something to consider, isn't it? If you've got a Facebook group or a school community or a WhatsApp group, you've got opportunities there. But also, again, you can repurpose the content, pack in lots of tips and value, and provide that low-cost way to work with you. Create a workbook and mini course. So this is something that I think is definitely underutilized. So again, people have got lots of courses out there that could be repackaged into an ebook or a downloadable resource that sets out the course structure in book form and links to digital content. Something that you could, be potentially making a decent bit of money on via your website or via other platforms if you're a coach that already has an audience, a website, and various other assets that can be reused. My favourite bit is creating the passive income. So a book on a published book helps to build passive income for your business, helps great way to repurpose your content, great create once and sell multiple times, one-to-many type format. And receiving the royalty payments while you sleep is just a buzz like nothing else you ever feel. So you wake up in the morning, you've had a notification from KDP, and the royalties are on their way. Now, you're not necessarily going to make lots and lots and lots of money, but I think it's thinking about all of the benefits overall. So my top tips would be to do your own research into costs and platforms. And remember that each book will be different and have different costs. Remember that everyone has different skills, so you need to decide which parts you can do yourself and which parts you will need to outsource. Don't cut corners, hire professionals for specific tasks, and be prepared to invest time in learning new skills. Don't stop marketing your book. I think that's the thing that people do. Put all that money, effort, and time into developing their book, and then once it's done, they never want to look at it again, and it sits on their bookshelf not doing anything for them when it really could be. So I think that's the thing. Just don't stop. Keep going. So hopefully what you will be able to take away with you today is to think about your own book and ebook ideas. What can you do? What could you do? Could you do a journal or a planner, or is there a course workbook that you could create that could add value to your programs? Is there a mini course that you could create from an existing course that you have? So think about, what would the title be? What are the content ideas? What book or ebook format are you thinking about, or what genre? And your target audience, because at the end of the day, publishing, as my publishing lecturer said, is all about marketing. publishing is marketing. So think about your target audience. So same way as you would approach a business or with your business, think about who is your ideal reader or your ideal client, and think about the who, what, why, where, and how of you, your audience, and the book. So who are you? Why should you have a book? You know, what's your expertise? What problem are you solving? How are you going to solve it? Where are you going to sell it? But also, who's your audience? What issues do they have? Why is this book going to help them? How is it going to transform their life? And where can they buy it? Really important questions. So if that hasn't whetted your appetite enough, then please do come and check out my ebook. You can download it at the link there on screen, and I've shared the link to it also in chat. So hopefully it can go out when the replays go out later. But yeah, please do come check it out.
Yeah, that is wonderful. Yeah.
Good. And then anybody who would like to go into it in a bit more depth can come and check out my Boost Your Brand with Books program, which is due to start on the 16th of April. It's a 6-week group program, and also have the option of one-to-one training if anybody isn't able to meet the commitments of a weekly session for the 6 weeks. I do one-to-one option as well, so you can go at your own pace. But should anybody have any questions, I do offer a free discovery call if you'd like to have a chat about books or publishing ideas, or you'd like to work with me in some capacity or another, or you'd like me to come and be a guest speaker for your group, whatever it is, I'd love to hear from you. And so do connect with me. Check out the website, drop me an email, send me a message, whatever suits. I'm here to help.
Thank you. Wonderful. And I have some questions here coming.
Sure.
Let me see which are. How do you recommend, Beckie, aligning a book's topic or format with the specific needs of a target audience?
Well, do your ideal client research is what I would say, so that you're really honing down on what are those clients' needs. You'll see, by talking to your customers, by the feedback that you're getting, the testimonials are often a good clue as to what problems they're really struggled with and how you've helped them. So often just looking at that feedback that you're getting and what's really working is going to really make it clear to you what you could offer. And then obviously it is a case of looking beyond that at what's in the market. One of my favourite things to do is Google search your book title idea on Amazon, see what's there, because if you've had the idea, then somebody else has probably had that idea already. And if not, then that's fantastic. If they have, it gives you the opportunity to look at the competitor, and it might be in a different niche, actually. So you might think, actually, I can publish this book. This isn't going to be a competitor. Or if they are competing, how can you position your book slightly differently? So I think start with, like I say, the ideal client research, talking to your audience, your clients, seeing what works for them, what resonates with them, what they feel they lack or need, those common problems from more than one client. Or it might be that you discover several, in which case, do you have several books, or is it one big book? So it's looking at things in terms of the need, and then what you could do to address that. What opportunity is there for you? Like I say, it could be a mini course, or it could be an ebook, or it could be a book that's more like a journal or planner. So there's no point in you creating something if nobody wants it. So
Yes.
it is about doing the research, and then making sure that the book design fits with the the title, the content. I think one of the worst mistakes is to create a design that doesn't fit with the content
Yeah.
and sends
Yeah.
the wrong message, or looks unprofessional and then just puts people off.
Yeah.
So, so, and also thinking that on Amazon, your book cover is just, the size of a matchbox. It's tiny. So making your book stand out in amongst all of those other books on an Amazon listing is really, really, really important. So your book has to stand out for the right reasons, you know?
Right. This is very useful. So, what are other common pitfalls coaches face when self-publishing, and how can they be avoided? This was a great example, for instance, the design. Huh? So, do the have a strong foundation for this book.
Absolutely. Do
That's
your
very important.
research. I think do the research would be the other pitfall, because I think people have this idea that they've written a book and they get very kind of tunnel visioned with it,
Yeah.
and then can't see the wood for the trees. Then they're so tunnel
Yes.
visioned with it that they have a fixed idea in their mind what they want the book to look like and what they want it to be, and then actually it's published and it doesn't match up, the cover doesn't match up to the interior, or the description of the book is not telling people what's actually in the book, or it
Yeah.
hasn't been positioned in the right market,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
if books are listed but aren't selling, are the keywords that it's been listed wrong,
Yeah.
or there's all sorts of different factors.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
research is really, really, really
Really important.
important. I can't underestimate that. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, get onto Amazon, look on Google, look in the bookshops, do as much research as you can for your book niche. Check out the competitors, see what they're listing their books in, what
Yeah.
categories are they listed it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Can you do the same? What category has the most opportunity for your niche? So it might be you creating a book coaching for leadership, and then within that niche there's going to be a sub niche that you might
Yeah.
be able to address really specifically with your expertise, and you can do leadership for women entrepreneurs, for example. So the more niche down that you get, the smaller the size of the category, the bigger opportunity that you're going to get listed higher up that list, and
Right.
have that potential of reaching the bestseller status.
Okay, that's a good one. Be very clear on the niche that you take or you even create, huh? Because that's
Absolutely.
also possible, and then it
Yeah.
can help you go to the top. So we're talking about self-publishing. Do you know about some current trends in self-publishing that solo professionals should be aware in 2026?
I think there's, as we've said, a saturation of coaching material, full
Yeah,
stop. There's a
yeah,
saturation of books, full stop, because now that people are getting more aware of how accessible it is and what the opportunities are, it's depleting the size of the pie for everyone. So,
right,
a few years ago it was colouring books were huge. Now the market's saturated with colouring books. Nobody's selling colouring books anymore, but there's still loads there.
yeah,
Um, One thing that I see that concerns me is AI. So I think there's a big trend with wanting to utilize the fascinating things that you can do with AI, and that's fantastic. But on Amazon KDP have got quite a tough stance on this, at the moment. And I think they're right to take that tough stance at the moment because it's still a grey area. It's still evolving so fast until it's regulated and more heavily controlled. I think Amazon are taking the right stance to say an absolute no to AI generated content. That's what it says when you're listing your books on Amazon. But it allows AI assisted. So how it determines that is if you use ChatGPT, for example, to create a contents list, an outline of your book, that's acceptable. You cannot use it to write your chapters in your book. That's AI generated. Same with imagery. So you have to declare it if you're using AI to create any imagery or whatever. So it's a grey area, but we know that Amazon publish many books, some of which are good quality, high quality, and then some which are definitely below par. And we know that there are definitely AI generated books that are out there on the Amazon platform. And it makes me question, how are they allowing that to be there? And it makes me think, that it's not going to sell, and if it does sell anything, it's going to be a small amount because the reviews are going to be terrible. So Amazon just lets it fly because they think, well, it's not going to make loads of sales, and if it does, we'll earn a few quid out of it. So what does it matter? However, if your book is a higher profile, if you are a higher profile person, if you are getting the traffic to your book, they're going to be more concerned whether your book has or hasn't used AI, and therefore they are going to say, actually, are we going to let this go because, again, we're going to get this massive amount of sales, or are we going to pull it and say, no, it doesn't meet the standards, doesn't meet the requirements?
That's fascinating. I'm curious where this will go. And so let's wrap this up with your top 3 tips for ensuring that a book truly reflects the voice and the values of an author's brand.
Definitely repurpose content. It's the quickest, easiest way for you to communicate your brand message. Secondly, do your research on costs, investment, people, get recommendations, look at examples, and get onto Amazon and do your research on Amazon. It's my favourite thing to do. And 3, work with experts. Don't cut corners. It takes time to create something of quality. And so talk to the experts. And I've added a 4th one, a bonus tip is don't stop marketing your book.
Don't stop marketing your book. That's the best. I wrote it down on my notes. So I hope that the audience takes time also to reflect what are the main insights that you take further, right, to your life from this wonderful presentation, and what you've learned and how you're going to implement it. So Beckie, thank you so much for a rich and insightful session. You showed us how books are not only products, they are really powerful brand assets, right? Absolutely. That can elevate our visibility, that can create trust, that can deepen our client relationships, and extend our reach. So really, for everyone who's listening to this, I encourage you to reflect on how your own content, be it as a journal or, I don't know, a series of whatever you have, blog posts or coaching frameworks, really how they could be transformed into a branded publication that speaks directly to your audience and reflects your voice and your values. So you have the links and the link to Beckie's book, ebook, and contact details. So please explore ways to work with her. Thank you so much for your generosity of time and information you gave us. So our masterclass will stop